compile at least 2 pens, preferably an additional pen of colour if they're doing self-marking or self-assessment, a ruler, a pencil, and a rubber. That's the basics that we expect in the pencil case. If you can provide the additional stuff, which a lot of our students do with highlighters and their own calculators and all those things, that is amazing. But the basics is basically pens, pencil, ruler, and rubber. Thank you. Right, now we're going to go on to the section where it's about being ready as well to do the attendance and punctuality. Now, as you're aware, we understand that our children can't always achieve 100%. We are understanding that children can get sick, but it's also, we want you to know that we want you to try as really hard as you can to make sure that your child not only attends school every day, but is also attending on time every day. Having 100% attendance is achievable, but obviously we want you to strive for that. As times get more difficult, students will try to struggle and may struggle to get into school, but your support really helps us to help this happen. Also, when students are in school, we expect them to go to the lessons in the quickest routes, so that way they're punctual to every lesson. Every minute counts. So when a child is late to lesson, it is not only just can interrupt their learning, it can also disrupt the learning of others when they're walking into the lessons late. So punctuality is really, really vital coming in when they get into school. And it's also about being at the right time, at the right place, to get the most input they can from their learning while they're here. Okay, so we understand that a lot of things can change, and we know that our students, but when students are in class and they're feeling safe and supported, they are, wherever the reason, they log onto Teams and they follow the lesson structure, and then they don't fall behind in their work if they're not able to come into school, please. Anything you can do to help support us with regards to your children and their education and their learning is vital at these stages in their school journey. Also, we have to be respectful. Now, a lot of things have slightly changed, but obviously personal space is still vital and important. The key factors on that, we say keep your hands to yourself, no play fighting, walk on the left, and belongings. Obviously, keeping your hands to self is a mature way to conduct themselves while in school. We don't want them to bump and barge into each other when on the corridors. That way there's no misunderstandings, no troubles can escalate from any silliness. We want all of our students to walk on the left. We do have a lot of students in this school, and our corridors are quite narrow. So if every student walks on the left, it does help prevent any incidents and injuries. So that's why we have that there. Please make sure that you are encouraging your students to follow these code of conducts that we have in school for those reasons. And obviously, we don't have any excuses when it comes to students wanting to do silly things, like doing things like play fighting, because often play fights can turn into real ones. Okay, so that's why we have that to do with respect. There is many other areas of respect, but these are just some of the key ones that we're discussing with you today. Also, another one is language. Right, language. Obviously, we have to do with our bullying, is to do with language and being respectful. So we don't tolerate bullying, and that's just a full stop. No, we just don't do that. So we do have that as part of it, and our bullying strategies are actually designed by our students for our students. And we do have anti-bullying ambassadors that work around the school building in each of the year groups too. Okay, swearing. Language is vital. I mean, you can hurt people with your words and you can offend people with your words. So we don't tolerate students using any inappropriate language in school. Respect in the community. Obviously, we expect the children to conduct themselves in a manner in which obviously we promote here as a school and you probably promote at home, to let them know that when they're out there in the community, they are representing not just the Chiltern High School, but they are presenting themselves as a whole and their families. So we expect them to follow that as much as they can. And in the real world, obviously, we expect them to respect the community, not just in school. We expect the community around them, where they live, their home, wherever they are, is their community, and we expect them to respect that too. The next one we've got is the be safe. Now, the be safe obviously is a lot to do with the movement around school and how they conduct themselves physically. So we still expect them to keep to the left, as we mentioned before. We expect them to use the fastest, calmest way. This will help support the students and understand if they are told that your child consistently refuses to walk in the correct way down a corridor, it takes the longest route to lesson, and these can cause serious issues. We also expect them to enter and leave the classrooms in a calm fashion. We expect them to do this because obviously that will get the most out of their learning if they do so, and it also stops incidents when entering corridors from a classroom, especially when there's a number of lessons on that corridor. If we also as well in class, we expect them to understand that everybody in the school is deserving of the same respect, and we want them to be safe, because if they are in their class, then we know where they are, we know they are safe, and we know they are looked after. That way then everybody's in the way they're supposed to be, and we don't have to worry about anybody. Okay, now, oops, sorry, I think that is it from me on this presentation. You are going to learn about other things that are going on. I hope if you haven't been able to catch any of the dates that I've mentioned earlier, that's fine, because obviously you'll be able to get access to this presentation and find out what those dates are that are coming up for yourselves in the future. I hope to see you all very soon. This is where I will take my leave. It was lovely speaking to you all today, and I'm now going to leave you in the lovely hands of Miss Morgan and Mrs. Sawa, who will continue with the presentation this evening. Enjoy the presentation, have a lovely evening, and I'll see you all soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Spencer. Okay, good evening, happy new year everyone. Thanks again for joining us this evening. I'm very aware that there are, must feel like there are an awful lot of messages, and all of the rules that Miss Banton and the kind of the student behaviours that Miss Banton has talked through there, it feels like an awful lot. And what I would say to kind of reassure is that everything that Miss Banton has talked through are the same rules that and the same code of conduct that students have kind of experienced since they've been in year 7. What we've been doing, and we've been making really clear to do this year, is to drip feed these in, to kind of have these walkthroughs so that they're really formalised. And students, these messages have been shared with students drip fed, like I said, so they don't come all at once. That's a special punishment that you parents are having, isn't it? Okay, having it all at once, but that we kind of share one every couple of weeks with students, so that they are really clear on what the latest drive is, and we build those up over time. Like I say, we give them those messages in assembly. Their form tutors reinforce those in form times over the course of the week. And the common language that Miss Banton was using there, you know, stay to the left, hands to self, phrases like that. That's the language that teachers and members of staff use with students, so that everybody's on the same page and everybody knows what our expectations are. Okay then, so alongside the code of conduct, we've also worked really hard on some of our CHS Scholar learning habits since September. Now, if you were with us at the parent information evening in autumn, you will be familiar with the first couple of these. I think we did talk about them then. But we've been driving a number of learning habits with students to support them with maximising their success in learning. We focused so far on 4 of the 7 CHS Scholar learning habits. We've got to organise, attention, home study and reading with fluency. And I thought that this parental information evening would be a really great opportunity to kind of share those key messages with you, so that you understand as well what messages students have been getting, so that if you're able to, you can help support at home. Okay then, so the first one is organise. And we launched this in September with students, and we've seen that it's really had the impact of having a real consistency in the high quality of students' exercise books. A lot of our students are incredibly proud of the work that they produce in their lessons. When me and Miss Sawa bob into year 10 lessons to have a look at the work that students are doing, they're so proud to show us what they've been looking at, what they've been working on, and the high quality work that's in their books. So you can help to support that at home by, if you're able to, kind of actively looking at exercise books. We really encourage students to take their books home so that they can home study, which is something we'll talk about later. So please do have a look at them, and where you're able to celebrate the books that are really presented nicely. I know Ms. Banton said before about the importance of students having a school bag. We want them to be really well equipped for their school day, so that they've got all the tools for learning that they need. So the stationery that we would kind of encourage students to have includes a pen, pencil, ruler, glue stick and highlighter. If you've got any problems sourcing any of those things, we do have a bank of stationery at school, and we're more than happy to provide those with students, so that you know, they feel confident and they feel ready for learning, sets them off on the right foot at the start of the lesson. We would also encourage your child, we've talked to children about, you know, the importance of revisiting the work in their exercise books. Their exercise books are their best revision guides. That's the real message that we've given to students, so they want to take pride in them. So, you know, please do, where possible, encourage your child to revisit their learning and their exercise books routinely so that they're able to extend their notes and they're able to revise some of that previous learning. Thank you. Okay then, so the next scholar learning habit that we've focused on with students is about attention and making sure that they are, we've used this acronym, that they're paying attention like a star. So they're sat up straight, they're tracking the teacher, so they're not staring out the window, you know, they're really kind of paying attention to what's going on. They are asking and answering questions where they've got questions to ask, and they're being respectful, you know, they're listening respectfully, they're engaging with each other really respectfully. And we know that where learning is most effective in lessons, it's where students really pay attention and they're really active in their learning. So, you know, the things Miss Banton was talking about before, about those kind of setting up for the day. So making sure that, you know, they've had a good night's sleep, that, you know, they've you know, had a bit of breakfast, or that they've got into school in time to access the free breakfast at school. All of those things that you know, are really important, as you know. And then, you know, if possible, ask them what questions or answers they've shared in lessons each day to encourage them to do that as much as they can do. I think, you know, that's that kind of discussion about learning is something that kind of really students enjoy, your children, as you know, enjoy, and it really motivates them with their learning too. Okay then. We talked to students last half term about the importance of reading. Now, I know that you know the importance of reading and students being as confident and fluent with their reading as they possibly can be. I talked to students about the importance of having a reading routine. We expect students across school to read for pleasure for between 15 and 20 minutes a day, depending on where their starting point is. I know that some of you will have some real battles in getting your child to engage with perhaps a novel or a fiction book. It doesn't matter, you know, what it is they're reading, but we really want them to kind of be reading for pleasure, and to be increasing the amount that they're reading, so that they're definitely getting those reading miles in there. I'm not going to talk too much about the reading strategies, but we rest assured that your child's class teachers are working incredibly hard to explicitly teach all children some really useful reading strategies in their different subjects. So that, for example, when they're in science, their science teacher is really working hard to make sure that, you know, that all the children in that class are focused on a couple of reading strategies that are incredibly useful for reading science exam questions, science texts, things like that. So we work very hard on that. We've done a lot of work on actively improving vocabulary, and also we've really spoken to students about the importance of trying to widen their reading repertoire so that they're reading, you know, kind of a range of text types basically. So how can you help to support with this habit? You know, local libraries are back open now, so encouraging your child to kind of join the local library to get some books out. That's a really good starting point. The school library has always been open, you know, throughout school, you know, since we've come back post pandemic, and it still continues to be. So on a Tuesday to Friday after school, all year groups are welcome to the library, and they can access the full range of library books there. And we're really lucky. We've got a brilliant library, as I'm sure you know. If you're able to, kind of check on the reading time that your child is completing. Encouraging them to make it part of their routine, asking your children about their reading, what's happening in their book. You know, so if they appear to be reading, you know, what you're reading about, showing an interest basically in what they're reading, and then thinking about asking them about what new words they've learned at school, and kind of the explanations of those. That is also useful too. Okay. And the last big one that we've looked at with students is home study habits, which covers home learning, so homework, but also home study. And I'm not going to say too much about that now, because I know Miss Sarwar is going to talk about that when she talks about kind of progress test preparation. But that is obviously the big drive that we've had just prior to the Christmas holidays, and that we're continuing with as we move forward into the spring term.
Okay, thank you very much, Miss. Right, okay, so mine is all about business progress tests and work experience I'm going to cover. So your children basically have received this booklet, and it's a quite important booklet because you put a lot of effort in to produce this booklet, and it's all about home study habits. And the way we launch the home study hub is we launched it from day one, from September. So the students are not struggling when they're revising for their exams. They should already have good habits in place. So the first one is basically the plan. And that is crucial, because without plan, they can't revise. And I've been teaching a lot of students, they just came back recently, and they came back as they didn't do much work during holidays. I don't think so. They have got any homework timetables, or they got any resources. When I was talking about, did you take your books home? Yes, they did take their books home, but they didn't even open it. And that's the majority of them. I'm not saying that they could be your kids. I'm just saying the majority of them, they just came back with that kind of attitude, just like they didn't even plan, how to revise, or some sessions, or whatever. It's just like they came back as just like completely brainwashed. So what I really want, I know, is basically for you to start working with your kids. Make sure that they have got 2 to 3 hours every day. They have to revise their progress tests. I'm talking about mock exams, because I did a year 11 information evening yesterday. Their exams will start from 16th of Jan for next week after, for 2 weeks. And I really want you to start asking your kids about this booklet. Where is your booklet? Have you got the timetable? Because on this booklet, the first page, this is where the timetable should be when their exams are. They have got English, maths, and science, but they should be also getting some information about their option subjects when their exams are. So this page, the first page of this booklet, should be complete, full, with the dates. Okay. And also, we can't really show that video, can we? Just, I can just talk about it.
Do you want me to explain about that video now?
Yeah.
So if you can go back to the previous slide. So we wanted you to show a video. We have a slight issue with showing the video, but basically it's you will have been a link to I'll start again. Miss Wilson has talked explicitly to students about how to use their home study booklet and how to really effectively study at home. She did that as an online assembly, and we've shared the recording of that with parents on the school website. So if you go to the school website and you click under Student Life, you will see that there is a progress tests and reporting tab on there. If you click on the assessment and reporting at Key Stage 3, I know your child is in Key Stage 4, but if you go to the Key Stage 3 one and scroll down, the second YouTube video there is Miss Wilson talking through.
And this is also the recorded, evening, the whole PowerPoint and what I'm saying will be recorded, so you can directly click on this the website, and you can just watch the whole thing. It's basically explanation of how to use this book. But the book looks like this, and if you see the first page, on the first page, we got English, maths, and science, the exam dates. I want your children to go around and collect the dates of the other subjects. So when you're talking to them what exam you have got, then they can tell you that on Monday, period 3 and 4, they got 16th of Jan, they got period 3 and 4 is maths exam. So it's a 2-hour exam, big exam. And that shows that how to do 2 hours exam, how much preparation they have to do. And Monday, period 1 and 2, they might be having the one of their option exam. So Monday could be quite busy. Why I'm saying this, because you know what the timetables are, what they look like, and you can prepare them for that day in terms of, make sure that they have been, they had the breakfast, and they had a good night's sleep, and they've been revising, they got the books, and the kind of the conversation. I just don't want them to be lonely in this process. I want parents to be involved and ask questions. Okay, the next thing is, and this is what I told them before we break up, about to create the home study timetable. And if you notice, the first date in here is 5th of December. That means we have given these booklets at that day. You should be able to see their revision plan in here, what they're revising for, what they need to revise, and what they will be revising. But what the crucial thing is, what we never done before, but we have done this year, is what they need to revise for each subject is in that booklet. So everything, what you need, what the student needs, what your child needs for revision is in this booklet. I have got some spare ones in here, and if any parents want me to send the electronic copy, I can send you. But this booklet is basically, without this booklet, they will be lost because they don't know when their exams are, they don't know what they're revising. I had my year 10 class today, and they had no idea what to revise. And I was teaching them science, and I told them many times that we're doing biology paper 1. Okay, where we get the information from? The information is in there for every single subject. So this is the first tool for plan and organizing resources. Okay. Before I move on, I'm going to talk to you about more about the how to revise. But before I move on, what I really want year 10s, and I personally, because I've been a head of focus school for year 10s and 11, and what I noticed with the year 10s is the school starts at 8:30, and I want all the children to come to school about 8:20. This is the time when they line up outside. We check their uniform, we check if there are any issues, we discuss home tutors or all of them to go outside in the playground, and then they basically make straight line, and then we send them in when they're ready. So this is how we start their day. But there are some basically coming in late, and attendance and punctuality is important because when they're going for work experience, the first thing the placement asks about the attendance and punctuality, because if you're going to your placement late, because you already got the attendance and punctuality issues in school, then of course the child is going to fail their work placement. Also, by the end of this year, I'm taking students to Loreto and Zavarian taster days, and they have sent the information already, and this is what they want. They said the only students they can come to those taster days, they got 98% and above attendance, unless there is any reason for them to be off, and the head of the year will know. The effort grades 1s and 2s, nothing less than that. So the effort grades that you have received before, the half term, and they're in your recent report, you should know that if the 3s and 4s, that will bring their average effort grade down. Also the behavior points. Okay, the behavior points 8 is in a whole year. So by the time I'm going to take them to the Zavarian and Loreto taster days, they're going to look at the whole year's behavior points, and if it's more than 8, I won't be taking them. And every year we normally take 200 students to Zavarian and Loreto taster days, and 100 students, they don't qualify to go. So make sure your children are not one of them. Make sure that they come to school every day, they're punctual, their effort grades are 1s and 2s, and their conduct there's no behavior points. Okay, so why I'm doing this? Because of the attendance, because of this COVID situation and the way the year 9s, year 10s were previously. They need to be in good habits. That attendance is crucial. If they attend their lesson, what they learn in their lesson, they will absorb better compared to what they do at home. Also, if they're missing 2 hours because they're not in school, and just like today, they had 2 hours of science. If they're missing 2 hours of science, they're missing the whole topic. And not many students come back next day and just say, what we have done yesterday, can we catch up? That means they have missed that much qualification. So it's important, every day's matter. Make sure they come, they catch up with the work they have missed, and they can stay after school in the library, and they can do the revision. Okay, and when I talk about the effort grades, I don't think so you can see clearly. If you got in that one, it's basically when we said effort grade 1, and if I just show you that I arrived promptly, ready to learn, fully equipped, that means the pencil case. A lot of students came back after Christmas and they can't find their pencil case, they don't have the pen. So make sure they've got the pencil case, they've got the highlighters, 3 colors, the pink, yellow, and green, and they have the ruler, they have their calculators. If you think about the exam they're going to have for 2 hours for maths, if they're their own calculators, they will perform better because it's their calculator. Okay, and also is the books and their you know, when they are in the way I want, and the way that we're promoting year 10s at the moment, and we want them to develop, is when they are in lessons, they got the habits, most of them got the habits to make additional notes. And there's some of them start bringing the revision guides to school. So if you haven't bought the revision guides, please do. Because I got loads in a study center. They donated by year 11s last year, year 11 parents. So I can loan the revision guides. They can come to the study center. I can loan them, make sure that they bring revision guide to school. Because what happened, when they go back and then they open the revision guide and start to learn, it doesn't, they can't absorb the information and retain. So make sure there's a habit of bringing books to school, the revision guides, the pencil case, then they will be true scholars. And if they have got those habits in place, there's no way they can underperform. They will, you know, get the results what they deserve. And also, there's a lot of things we look at. This is what the teachers look at. They give them, you know, to give them, you know, the effort grades 1. And the students know, we have gone through, we spent 1 good hour before we break up about what the effort grade 1 look like.
And if I can just quickly say something about that, and I just say that what we've tried to do is really tie in our messages about what an outstanding effort and what good effort looks like. They fit in really nicely with our scholar learning habits that we talked about before. So all of the messages that we've been giving to students in assembly and through form time about the importance of paying attention or organising your books or being well equipped, it all fits in really nicely. So everything kind of links together. These aren't disparate messages. They all feed into this same kind of core group of messages that students consistently get.
Thank you, Miss. Right, so now revision. Big word, okay? Progress test coming up, and they have done maybe 25% of their GCSEs, and then they will be testing. Just like I'm a science teacher, so the whole part 1 biology they will be testing on, and it's a lot of information there. There's a lot. So how you can support them at home. So what basically we do and what we promote in Chiltern High School is study timetable. I talked to you about in detail that they should have the home study timetable. We also promote the revision cards. If they don't have, they can come and get from me, because we can give them the revision cards easily. They won't be as, you know, though we can buy from the shops with the lines and all that, but they're the basic revision cards they can use. Also the self-testing, this is what basically you can help them. If they made some cue cards or revision cards, you can just say, okay, let's have a look what you have done and test. They might push you away, you know, I have done my revision, you don't need to worry about it, but take interest and spend some time with them when they're doing that. Online learning, mind maps, and past papers. So these are the 6 areas we are focusing, and they are the 6 tools we're promoting with the year 11, year 10. So make sure that they get mastered in this one. By the time they're in year 11, they can do better. Okay. One of the 10 other times education supplement I was reading, and I think I came up with this quite likely, parental involvement in a child's education can mean the difference between a whole grade or more. And that's true. That is true. If whether you know the topic or not, for you being there, taking interest, it can lift the motivation. It can lift that somebody is, you know, listening to me, somebody's taking interest, and that kind of the, you know, the feelings around when they're studying, when they're revising is crucial. I don't want them to be lonely when they're doing revision. Okay, so parental strategies in terms of organization is make sure that they create the revision timetable. Please use this book, okay? And if you want to, if you think you can do better than, you can create the better revision timetable, please do so, okay? Create one for them, sit with them, and then create. But all the information, what they need to revise is in this booklet, okay? And supporting with the time and place to revise routinely, make sure there's no noises, make sure the phone is always on silence, make sure there's no AirPods. This is what they do in class. Sometimes they hide, surrounded by the hair, you know, whatever they do. And there's nothing there, no distraction, okay? And And when you're doing that, make sure that they're doing the other stuff as well, you know, like to balance their life. They've got hobbies and they got, you know, all those stuff. So make sure there's a nice balanced revision, okay? For the place to revise needs to be quiet. They can do in school. We've got the library. They can come to the study center. I know it's only 11s that are allowed at the moment, but at the moment, E11s are not coming in. They can come in and do the revision there. Right. So what you can do is basically PLCs. PLC is a basically personalized checklist. Okay, it's a personal learning checklist, and this is what they will be getting from each teacher. And it's basically a rack sheets like red, amber, and yellow, red, amber, and green. And then make sure that they got this. So what that PLC sheet is they basically highlight the weaker areas, so the ones in red, and then amber. The green ones is the other one, they know it. They know it all. That's why I said they can need to bring 3 different colors of highlighters. And then they need to start revising the ones in red. The one they are in red, this is what they need to target. And when they start revising the ones they are really struggling at, this is called active revision. Otherwise, it's passive revision. There's no point to revise and make beautiful revision cards and beautiful notes on something, the topic they already know. So revision hurts, I always tells them, and but it's really important that they start revising something they are really struggling at. And for that, they need PLC. Okay, and then what else you can do is basically revising with your child, revision, encourage them to be proud of their revision notes that they produce. I normally take the pictures of their revision notes and I show them in the assembly, and they really get, you know, proud of Miss always showing my notes in the assembly. Okay, ask them about the revision, about the mind maps or anything. And if there are any past papers, the mark schemes are on the system. They are on Teams. They're also, you know, on the if you know the exam boards on their website. And if they get struggling with the mark scheme, just communicate with us. And if you're marking their paper, the paper they have done, it means a lot to them. There will be a make sure that you use the mark scheme sometimes.
But, and I would always also say at that point as well, if you know, if your child has kind of had a go at answering a past paper question as part of their revision, we always encourage students to self-assess, because obviously in the real exams at the end of year 11, you know, that they've got to, when they proofread their answers, they're essentially, that's what they're doing, the self-assessing. So we really encourage students to read over and check themselves, but also, you know, your child's teacher does want to mark their extra work as well, and they will be really thrilled to do that. So, you know, once you and they have had a look at it, you know, please encourage them to hand it into their teacher so that the teacher can see as well all of this independent learning that they're doing too.
Sometimes I think they just bring the papers and there's hardly anything in it that they want us to mark. So make sure when they bring any papers to us or anything, they bring, there is a quality work that they spend time, you know, doing it. And if they can't do the exam, the past paper or any exam paper, then they need to go. They need to go and find the information and add the information. I don't want them to bring the question that is worth of 8 marks and they only attempted 2 or 3 questions because they can't do the rest. They need to go. They need to base it onto the websites that have been recommended by school, or also the revision guides, and find the answer. That's there. If they can't do that question, then this is what how they can fill that gap in their knowledge is by researching, by reading more, and by looking at the, you know, the information in detail.
And talking to their teacher too, you know, if they're struggling with the topic, that's what revision, that's what revision is about, identifying the areas that you need a bit of extra assistance with. We always encourage students to read over their notes, to kind of go on to, I think Miss Sowers wants to talk about GCSE Pod and Seneca, but you know, if having done that, they're still not sure, then they just need to kind of have a little chat with their class teacher as well.
Yeah, and these are the websites. The Microsoft Teams is the one that, you know, they can easily, while I'm doing this session, I got about 50 messages by year 11s about the college applications, and it's a one way to communicate with your teachers. GCSE Pod is another one. Seneca has been very popular, I think, with not in with every subject, but in English. I think English is, they recommend Seneca.
And history too is very
very
popular.
GCSE Partners, I recommend as a science teacher. BBC By Size is very good. There's another one, if you want to try, studyrocket.co.uk is another one, online revision guides, all of them in here, you know, all of them. So I just want them to explore. Year 10 is the time period when they test everything, every single thing they explored, and by the time they're in year 11, then they know what they're doing and what technique they're going to use, or what gadget they're going to use, which you know, tool they're going to use for revision. Because by the time this time next year, they will be doing second mock, because the second mock for year 11 is in February. The first mock will be in November, and it's not very far. While they're applying for the colleges, same time, and they will be, you know, doing the mock exam same time. They won't have any time to make notes. So please, 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 year 11, 10 time it's all about the building blocks. It's all about the base of the year 11. So what you can take away is encourage the process, encourage what they're doing, communicate with the school, more the merrier. We don't mind if you send us so many emails. I will respond. We had on year 11 a parental evening yesterday, and I'm telling you the amount of emails I got, and we do respond as much as we can straight away. And then ask questions about the revision, what you have done in lesson, where's your book, and you can support them in any way. But at the moment, I think what we are struggling with year 10 is the phones, isn't it? So please take phone away when they're revising, okay? It's a quiet place. Make sure the time is protected.
And you know, students often say, "Oh, I can revise whilst I'm doing all of these other things."
No,
but as we know, it's just that problem of split attention, isn't it? You know, students are going to have things. If young people are going to have things, you know, go from their working memory into their long-term memory, they need to be paying full attention, which is obviously why we've been focusing on that so much at school.
Okay, there's one more thing. I think I can't find that slide. I don't know where it's gone about the work experience. Can I ask, 13th of January is, and that is
I think it should be slide
the last one.
The last one.
Oh, is it there?
Next one.
Oh, okay. I will do that first. Okay, because that is a part I want to forget. I can't find out. Right. So, are you prepared for this half term? Okay, that is you as a parent and also the student. Okay, so home study. Okay, make sure for the student they understood every single topic in lesson. If they haven't, they can come and speak to the teachers after school and explain. I told already my year 10s, tell me, because I do the year 9, year 11 revision every Tuesday after school. If they're interested for any revision session after school, they need to talk to their teachers. But this is very, very important. More you're going to monitor them, more you're going to make them aware that you're desperate for revision because you basically want to revise, then they will be helpful. Okay, revisit the content, okay, and what you have done last week, what you have done last year, because everything what they have done this year and last year, they will be tested on. Okay. And also, if you feel that you have grasped the topic, what's next? So suppose if they need to test yourself, okay, they need to quiz, they need to use the past papers, working with the partners, working with the friends, the right friends. This is crucial, okay, is important, okay. And also, do you know where to access the past papers for each of you? So I gave my year 10 class today the biology papers so they can go home and they can have a go, and then we will go through in lessons. So make sure they are bringing some papers home, okay. Revision cards, make sure they got them. If they don't, ask we can provide them, and sometimes it's a good idea to have the revision cards color coded. That means biology is pink, or the maths one is blue, or that kind, so they know what the revision cards are for. Sometimes it's good. Reflecting on the strategies, basically you use this time, really reflect on basically on your performance. Suppose if one of the topics they haven't done really well, go back and go through, okay. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say, because this, these spring progress tests are a really important opportunity for students, and that's what we've talked to them about, the fact that yes, it's they will find out what they need to revisit following that, but it's also it's an opportunity to do that. So we've talked a lot to students about the fact that whatever revision strategies they've employed, for them to reflect afterwards at the end of a revision session, how well did that work for them? Is making flashcards, is that something that's useful for them? Because as we all know, everybody revises differently and everybody learns differently. And what we'll be talking to students about during feedback fortnight following the progress tests is the fact that, you know, they need to reflect on how they found that process. Were there certain subjects that they found more difficult and stressful? Was there a subject that they found it really hard to revise for? And if so, we're going to encourage them to have conversations with their class teachers so that, you know, they've learned not just more subject content, but they've also learned a lot about how to approach that kind of exam season in the best way.
Thank you, Miss. Okay, so as I have gone through this already, and this is basically a summary now. So look at the exam topics you struggle with, okay, and then start working on it. And also, what do you know what a good one look like? Do you have examples of models? You know, can you see the difference between your, so when you're revising, also talk to your friends, you know, ask them to show me your, you know, how you have revised. Sometimes this is it's like competition. This is more constructive competition, you know. And if they have got a good friends who they can revise with, it will be perfect. But sometimes it's not a good idea. Okay, teachers always write the feedback, okay, and make sure that they respond to the feedback. And also just like in science, they do lots of tests for the end of the topics. So for that biology paper, they should have at least 11 tests. Since year 9, they have done 11 tests, and those tests are basically end of topic tests, and that they are the exam questions. If they go back and revisit, find those test papers and revisit, they are ready, they are prepared, because we use those exam questions for testing them for the end of the topic. And basically, you know, speak to the teachers if there is any issue. If she still don't understand it, can you please explain it, you know, explain it to me, or do anything the teachers can do. Ask us if they want anything, for, you know, if the teachers are not basically helping, or that this is how they think, then we can speak to the teacher. Right, okay, and make sure you got all the resources by next week. Please make sure your child should have this booklet. Make sure they got the revision guides. Make sure they got the right pencil case. Make sure they got the revision cards, their test papers. So this weekend they should start revising for the progress test. Right, this is what I was talking about. So work experience now, 22nd till 26th of May. Okay. And we want 13th of January, because the way we have got the external agencies, they will start basically contacting those places wherever you have find the placement. So 13th of January to submit the self-placement form with liability insurance. Okay, if there is no liability insurance, then we can't go ahead. Okay, and once they have done that, what I want, this is a little bit ahead now, students should start making phone calls to the employers 2 weeks before the work experience starts, because most of the time, not most of the time, okay, sometimes the students go there and they said, oh, but you haven't phoned, we need to do this and we need to do that, and we need to do the risk assessment and this, and or we have to go through with the certain procedure, and we thought you're not coming. And it does happen, so that this is something from my own experience, that 2 weeks before the work experience starts, make phone calls, and if the employer wants you to come for the interview, that's brilliant. If not, then, and also take the name of the employer who you have spoken to. Okay, now of course they will start calling you, they will start asking you to come for an interview. Make sure that they take their SSAT folders with them, that is their portfolio, because it's something to talk about. Also, the CV should be completed, whatever they can write, minimum or maximum, whatever they can write in their CV, it should be there, okay, just in case. Okay, what we will do, we're going to give them work experience diaries 2 weeks before the work experience starts. and the students will start filling the information about the skills they got already, the skills they're going to gain, how to get to their work placement. So those diaries are crucial. When they finish their work experience, they're going to bring those diaries back to us. We're going to look at the diary, and the last page is where the employer said they're happy with you, and they write some comments. That is like a little certificate. Once that's completed, then we're going to give you the work experience certificate. That means officially you have passed your work experience because you have completed the diaries, you have done everything, and then you bring, and that work experience certificate is crucial, especially when you're applying for the colleges. And this year is lucky because they managed to do the work experience last year, and their personal statements look like proper A4 quality. The personal statement, because the year before the people couldn't do the work experience, and their personal statement for the colleges like half a page. So it's quite important, the time of the year for them, progress test and work experience. I just want you to be aware when the dates are, and I want you to be part of it and make sure that you are supporting them, make sure you're reminding them, and you're in a loop.
Thank you very much, Ms. Sawa. And the other thing that I'd say to kind of round off is, obviously we've given you an awful lot of information there, and particularly progress tests, quickly followed by work experience. There's a lot. We're very aware that there's a lot of information. We're talking to students this week and next week about the importance of preparing themselves for their progress tests, so that they're feeling really confident going into those. And we're reminding them about that 13th of January deadline, but our real kind of next wave of messages about work experience will take place, once the progress tests are over. And all of those stages, phone calls, CVs, all of that, we support students with those in school as well. So don't be worrying, thinking that your child's going to kind of be left floundering doing those by themselves. That's not the case at all. Okay, thank you so much for your time this evening. I know January is a slog. This first week back proper is a slog anyway. So thank you for joining us. If you have got any questions, please do email school, and they will forward them on to us, and we will get back to you as soon as possible. Okay, have a lovely evening, everyone. All right, bye bye.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Stop recording.